It's really, really, it's really, really sad.
Terrible.
Yeah. So your
Absolute.
what's this next thing? Meg the Stallion.
Oh my god. Oh my god. The American justice system is ridiculous.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've had a chance to look at. Let's go through the video quickly. If
Okay.
do we have time? It's 26 minutes, so we're probably not gonna go through the whole video. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. It's ridiculous because, bro, if you see how much evidence that was overlooked, I don't even know if overlooked is the right word. Clear. The bottom line of it is somebody's trying to set this boy up.
Yeah.
Not trying to. They've set him up. They've set him up, and they tried to get rid of him in jail as well. Yeah, and
Yeah.
if Rock Nation really is behind this, it's a shame. They should be fucking ashamed of themselves. Because you know what's funny, bro?
Oh, okay.
You know what's crazy, right?
Yeah.
I remember seeing a clip of on social media on Instagram. Tory Lanez talked about Rock Nation's people trying to get at him just soon after that incident happened. You know,
Yeah.
bro, they tried to, and look who they're protecting. Megan Thee Stallion. Look at that fucking whore that they're protecting. I'm just calling it like it is. That's exactly what she is. I'm sorry. Because if you look at all the people apparently she's gone through, this is clearly someone who slept away into the industry. There's nothing else you can tell me about it.
Of course.
There's nothing else you can tell me. What else does she do, really? You know,
Exactly.
what they've done to this guy, every single person that's involved in this, should be rotting in fucking jail right now.
Right.
Because this guy literally did not do anything wrong. The girl fired 3 shots because they were apparently, the argument was the fact that they found out she found out that her friend had slept with Tory Lanez also.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Then yes, after 3 shots went off, it was Tory Lanez that hit the gun. It was no DNA. Tory Lanez's DNA was not. There was no residue on his found on Tory Lanez.
Gunpowder, yeah.
Gunpowder. There's no gunpowder. There's no residue found on him.
Yeah.
Bro, this case is ridiculous. And I don't even know why they're still dragging their feet. That guy should not be in jail right now. He should not be in jail right now. I mean, I don't know what you want to do with the clip. You want to kind of go through it quickly, skip a few bits, and let's dissect, try and dissect a bit. But it's ridiculous.
I wouldn't want to speculate on
Guys, that's twin, man.
the person's motivation is, because motive comes from deep within somebody's heart, and so I don't have a window to that.
So this is my main problem with crime, and I like the fact that you talked about the American justice system. And what people need to realize is that motive is irrelevant. Motive is irrelevant. People have
elaborate.
People have been brainwashed, right, to thinking that, oh, if there's no motive, then there is no crime. If a guy goes down the street and stabs somebody randomly, right, someone he doesn't know, someone he doesn't have anything to do with, the only time motive comes into play is when you try to say, when the defense is trying to say, well, he's insane. There is no reason for him to have wanted to stab this person because he's a mad person that just goes and stabs people. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if you are looking at law through the correct lens, which Americans try not to do, if you go and you stab somebody, you have committed a crime. You don't have to know the person. You don't have to have met the person before. There doesn't have to have been a motive. Motive has always been irrelevant. But it's like we've been watching crime shows for maybe 20, 30, 40 years, and they always use this word motive. Oh, there's no motive. What's the motive? We're looking for the motive. And it's like, if you watch this
Fuck that. Somebody's been stabbed or shot. And
thank you very much.
You know, motive or no motive? Did he shoot the guy? Did he stab the guy? Was that a crime? That's all that really matters.
On video.
That's all that should matter. Yeah.
On video.
And you're still talking about motive.
And you're saying, oh, we don't know what his motive is. Even this person, you say it's his father.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's still playing these games of, oh, motive. The only motive when you want to stab somebody is to kill the person. We don't know what your history is. We don't know whether it's a crime of passion, whether you fucked his girlfriend, or whatever the case may be. You try to kill him. The only reason he didn't die is because somehow he's alive. So the first thing that people need to learn today is motive is irrelevant. It is purely a media conception. It has barely any impact legally.
Yeah.
People need to understand that. You understand? Because everybody is presumed to intend the consequences of his action. If you stab somebody, your intention is to kill the person. That is your intention. So, whatever degree, whether it's first degree, second degree, third degree, murder, manslaughter, whatever the case may be, you are still within that range.
Yeah.
So, if you carry the knife and you stab the person again, then that's aggravated. You're going up because it's clear that you have a clear desire.
Yeah, of course.
We can't read your mind. We can only look at your actions. It's not possible to read somebody's mind. So if it's not possible to read somebody's mind, why the fuck do people talk about motive? This guy spent his first 20 seconds or first minute talking about this thing, talking about a fucking motive that doesn't exist. There's no such thing. Let's continue.
However, I wouldn't say that it has. Honestly, sir, I really just can't. I can't speak to the motive. It would be impossible for me to be able to speak to that person's motive.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that he says that it may come deep within a person's heart. Well, it could also come from someone outside of prison that has a lot of money or doesn't want TORY to speak, right? There's a lot of speculation that this is a setup. I think for his father, he don't care. He just wants his son out.
And have you spoken to your son since, I presume you have, since he was attacked?
Oh, yeah. We've spoken on several occasions. My family, we come together and we pray on a daily basis.
Obviously, we know he got attacked.
Shooting for which?
I want to hear what this lady has to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see if she starts talking. I don't know why she's so bent on this Tory Lane situation.
This lady?
Yeah, she's supposed to be like a right-wing type of politician.
Yeah, well, I mean, apparently, you're not going to check this out. Apparently, Amber Rose was the one that brought this to her attention.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, well, there you go. So, right about there, yeah.
See, there's a lot of inconsistency going on here. She denied to Gayle King that there was any relationship with TORY.
Pause. Yeah. You saw the clip of Gayle King, yeah? Just making sure.
Of course.
Yes.
We saw that years ago, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Okay, I just want to say, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. She doesn't admit to lying about the circumstances of the shooting. But
by the way, she felt comfortable admitting that after Tory Lanez was locked up.
We have the video now.
Really?
This goes to the heart of her veracity. Why have you taken up this case?
Well, first of all, Pierce, thank you so much for having us on to discuss this. And I just want to applaud you and your outlet for actually being able to showcase some of the facts here. Look, I don't have any connections to the rap industry, Mr. West, Mr. Brown. The only people that I really know involved in this are Miss Amber Rose, who actually initially flagged this for me and connected me with TORY's attorney. And when I looked at the evidence, and remember, I'm a member of House Oversight and Accountability, and I actually am the chairwoman of a task force that conducts investigations, most notably into the assassination of John F. Kennedy. So I'm all about the facts. And what I can tell you is that the evidence in this case overwhelmingly speaks to the fact that Mr. Lanez is actually being incarcerated, I would say, as an innocent man. And what I can tell you is, even to your question on what happened with who indeed may have pulled the trigger and, allegedly shot Megan Thee Stallion. Look, I don't know Miss Stallion, but what I can tell you is that the evidence says that there are no bullet fragments and that there are x-rays that the legal team, Mr. Lane's team, actually has that we'll be presenting. What I can also tell you is based on the evidence that I've seen, again, that number 0.01% DNA match, alleging that it's Mr. Lane's, when in actuality, they actually did not choose to test the other 4 individuals. There are no fingerprints found on the magazine. By any arguable case, if this was a murder trial, he would actually be acquitted because there is no evidence. And so what I will tell you is, one of the things that people ask is, well, why are you getting involved as a federal representative when this is a California state? He's not from, Florida here, or he's not represented by a Florida member of Congress. What purview do you have? And what I will say, Pierce, is that I have a platform and I have the ability on a federal level to impact prison reform. And what I can tell you is everything in this case, I don't believe that he was actually given due process. I believe it was a stacked trial. I believe the evidence speaks for itself. And I am willing to actually cross party lines to work with the Democrats to secure pardon from Governor Newsom's office. And we're currently in the process of setting up talks with Governor Newsom. I do think that he is going to do the right thing. I think that the evidence speaks for itself. I don't know. Wow. I didn't know that Drake had posted that petition, but what I will tell you is that was the right thing for him to do. And I hope more women specifically in the rap community can come forward and speak to this truth, because as you heard from Miss Stallion herself, she admitted to lying to Gayle King. And what I will also tell you is I'm also have been informed that there's actually ring footage, and that will likely also be released here pretty soon. I know we are helping to put the evidence out there to the American people.
What do you think so far?
I'd seen the clip anyway. What I think so far is, if she's saying, okay, basically, apparently someone got shot, right? There's 4 people there. You decide to test just one person, right? They didn't collect no DNA evidence from everybody else. On top of the fact that, just like she said, 0.01%, right, of Tory Lanez's DNA on the gun. Right. Yeah. Other than that, there was no residue. There was nothing else found on. But they didn't test anybody else. There's 4 people there. There's Tory Lanez, there's the 2 girls, Meg Thee Stallion and her friend, and there's the Tory Lanez's bodyguard. Or security guy. Or is it Megan Thee Stallion's security? There was a security guy there anyway with them in the car when the melee kicked off. So that ring footage, I had a look at the clip. I forgot to send it to you. So the 3 gunshots went off. Okay. Right? The 3 gunshots went off. Pop, pop, pop. Then there was a delay. Then another 2 went off. And apparently, from what eyewitnesses are saying now, is it was when Tory Lanez hit the gun from the girl's hands. It looked like stop. Yeah. You could even hear in the ring cam something like someone said stop. Then another 2 gunshots went off just as he's screaming stop. And apparently, from the bodyguard is saying, the girl fired 3 shots and Tory Lanez hit the gun from my hand, and that's when the other 2 guns, just as that was happening, that's when the other 2 shots went off. Right. And from the ring camera footage, whatever they call it, you can hear the sequence of the gunshots as they went off. And you could hear somebody kind of saying something that sounded like stop. I've seen clips, and like I said, I'm sorry I didn't send that to you, but I must have been distracted.
No, we'll get it. I will put it in the video. But what I wanted to point out was, this is how like you said, the American legal system, they distract themselves away from law a lot. Watch this. Raina Shasanya, the mother of Tory Lanez's son, said that he's the most supportive father and asked the judge to be lenient to help end the generational curse of black fathers in prison away from their children. Do you see the problem here? Look at this one now. Watch this again. Another witness, Dr. Stephanie Herring, a clinical psychologist at a treatment facility, said that she believes that Tory Lanez suffers from PTSD, anxiety, substance abuse disorder, and needs treatment. What I'm trying to say is that they excluded ring camera footage, they excluded all this evidence that we're talking about now, but they have people coming to say PTSD, anxiety, and substance abuse. If your defense is coming to say you have substance abuse problems, you are basically admitting to the crime that you didn't commit. Yeah. Saying that, the reason I committed the crime is because I have substance abuse problems.
Because of substance abuse, yeah.
So, honestly speaking, they are lawyers. The lawyers that Tory Lanez has, and I've seen this in many other cases, a lot of times it is their defense lawyers that kill them.
Yeah.
The defense lawyer will put up such a terrible defense and say, let's make ourselves sympathetic to the jury. Let's, in order to go on the attack and say, no, your evidence is not good.
Yes.
We have this evidence, our evidence is superior to yours. You know what I'm saying? So there
fight the case and not trying to seek sympathy, or empathy. Yeah. You're supposed to fight. Well, the evidence that Tory Lanez has in this case, we're gonna find another clip where they're gonna list them. It's overwhelming. He shouldn't even be held at all. This lady, the other clip I saw, this lady addressed it and talked about all the evidence. I'm not sure if you mentioned them here, but let's keep going. Let's see what she says.
I do believe that this is really a terrible case, and what was done to this family is unacceptable. And I will be continuing to push for his full pardon. I think that people owe them an apology. And furthermore, I'd like to finally say this: that I actually spoke to Mr. Lanez on the phone. In prison yesterday, actually, and he is actually going to get very involved in criminal justice reform to ensure that this doesn't happen to other people, because in his case, he has an incredible family supporting him. He has the financial backing to fight this, but many people don't. And so that's where we are going to continue to champion these causes at the federal level, even all the way to the White House and in Washington, D.C.
Well, I'd love to talk to him myself. It does sound a fascinating story. Just before I let you go, just to be clear, do you actually think a gun was fired at all then? Or could that in itself be in question?
What's up?
No, I thought you were trying to move it forward, but let it play here. Sorry, I thought you were trying to find the lady. Yeah, but just later, because he's asking a very. I'm not sure if this way he addresses it, but
yes, sir.
Was fired. Who do you think fired it?
I don't know who fired it, but what I will tell you is that based on the evidence that I've seen and that the TORY's attorneys will be presenting to the American people, I think that there are a lot of things in question. And I would say that, look, Pierce, you know that I'm a United States Air Force veteran. I grew up in a very rough area. I was at a high school where there was a gang shooting. When someone gets shot, there's evidence of that. My husband was shot in Afghanistan in 2014, and the evidence isn't lining up.
So you do not think she was actually shot?
I'm not a criminal investigator in that sense, so I'm just going to go on record for saying that the evidence as of right now is showing that there are no bullet fragments that have been presented, which will let people assume what they will not.
Yep. Okay, so final question for you, Sonstar.
Can I speak?
Sonstar, I was going to come to you.
Can I just speak really quickly to that?
Yeah.
It's interesting going back that there was a time when all of this nothing was really being said about it amongst the party that was there on that particular night. Then an article appeared in the Los Angeles Times, okay? It wasn't us that put it out. The Los Angeles Times spoke to the fact that a doctor, I believe it's a Lafredo, who was the emergency physician on duty that night when she was brought to the hospital. He said, and the Los Angeles Times carried it, that she sustained lacerations that were consistent with being cut by glass. Okay? So somebody now went online and commented or said something about that fact that the Los Angeles Times carried this. This is when, from the other side now, she came out accusing my son, you shot me, you shot me, you shot me. Later on down, we have so-called expert testimony coming from a whole other doctor was not present that night about removing bullet fragments. And again, nobody knows where these bullet fragments are to this very day. There's just been a lot of lies, a lot of cover up. And I believe this whole case has been about truth versus the politics of power. But the one thing about truth is light. You're never going to suppress it. You might keep it down for a while, but it's going to come out and it's going to shine like the sunlight.
Do you have a final message?
If I could just, if I could just follow up and say this, also to the reason why Mr. Lanes couldn't speak publicly to this is there's a gag order that was placed on him by the team bringing charges, and when you don't have the ability to speak, that sends a pretty powerful message. And so part of my job is representing not just my constituents, but also ensuring that this doesn't happen in the future, and that's not right. So I'll speak the truth for him, and I'm going off facts. I'm presenting the evidence, and the people will decide. And I hope that Gavin Newsom does the right thing.
It is absolutely wild to me that you can have this many injustices, this many inaccuracies.
Yeah.
So you, from a lawyer's perspective, I'm trying to get your. What would be the reason why they place a gag order on him in the first place? What make me understand. What would be the reason? Why would
when was the gag order placed and on whom?
I don't know. Well, just before the court case, based on what she just explained, the reason Tory Lanez couldn't speak was because there was a gag order placed on him. That's what she said just now. I don't know if you missed it.
Okay.
Now, what would be the reason, and why wouldn't his defense team be able to maybe fight against that? I'm not being a lawyer. I'm trying to get your take on it.
Gag orders. The justification for gag orders is always to protect the sanctity of the trial. So you, as an accused person, a gag order will be placed on you in order to prevent you from saying things that may influence the way the trial is being conducted.
Right.
So that's the meaning. That is the purpose behind gag orders. They make so that, like, for example, things don't get into the jury. You're not influencing the jury. You're not influencing the public that will influence the jury. You know what I mean? It's just a way of protecting the closed nature of the trial. Even though it's a public trial, it's just a matter of protecting the integrity of the trial, so that you don't have outside forces influencing the.
Okay, let me go another route. Yeah. So how come the gag order was placed on Tory Lanez and not on Meg Thee Stallion? Because she went on Gayle and told us everything that allegedly happened.
Well, that is also another injustice you can look at, because you're absolutely right. The normal traditional thing is to say, I can't speak on this matter, it's in court, right? And if the lawyers are on point, they can also get a gag order against Meg Thee Stallion and say, well, if Tory can't talk, she too shouldn't go around doing media publicity and all those things. It's just that she is not the one on trial, he is the one on trial. So there is a lot of imbalance there, for certain. Because normally, the problem, really, it comes from the fact that you have a jury trial, right? So maybe the lawyers too, one solution I can say is for them to say, okay, yes, this woman has going around speaking, let's get an injunction against her, preventing her from speaking and talking about this case. You understand? Because her comments are likely to affect his right to a fair trial. In fact, I think Derek Chauvin, the guy accused of killing what's his name? Accused of killing George Floyd. They brought out a similar problem because one of the jurors was a BLM activist. You know what I mean? That was already preaching against George Floyd before the trial, preaching against the police before the trial started. Do you get my point? So the argument there was it's a mistrial. This person's extrajudicial comments and extrajudicial statement had a negative effect on the fairness of the trial that Derek Chauvin was faced with. So, as I said, it always depends on the skill of your lawyer, what your lawyer is looking at, what your lawyer is taking seriously, and how they're able to navigate your ability to get a fair trial. If you can,
but how?
Yeah.
Go on. Sorry. I'll let you finish.
No. Ask your question.
Yeah, but how could Tory Lanez's defense team have been this I don't know. I think they just he's paid these guys to do a job for him, and they just left him to hang, basically.
Yeah.
How could they overlook some of these things that even me, I'm not a lawyer. I said some of these things before.
Exactly.
Before this lady, months before I even saw this clip.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of things straight away did not add up. So how come these lawyers who are professionals, who would have done, because he's not just he's a rich guy, he's a millionaire, so he could afford to get decent lawyers. So why would he go out there and get lawyers that can't even defend him properly? I don't understand it. Because me not being a lawyer, I can see some of these things, and I can see straight away that a lot of these things didn't add up, even way before I saw this clip that we're going through now.
Yeah, I agree with you, because as I said, when you look at some of the defenses that are being put up, I'll give you an example. Mike Tyson's lawyer for his alleged rape conviction, I can't remember the defense, but even President Trump in the 80s was like, what kind of defense is that? I think the defense was something along the lines of, why would she be in his room at 3 o'clock in the morning? It was a silly defense. You know what I mean? And you see that thing consistently that, wait, these guys have the money to hire the best possible lawyers. How come these best possible lawyers, they hire them and they're just shitting the bed in court? You know what I mean? And someone talked about the fact that when you enter, as a defendant or as a party to a criminal matter in America, is that when you enter that courtroom, you don't feel like somebody has your back. I can't remember who was saying it, but he was like, look, the judges, the lawyers, they're all brothers, they're all together. You understand? So he was talking about how he felt an isolation, because if you go to any legal function, judges will go, like, let's say a conference, like the American Bar Association conference. The judges who are there, the lawyers are there, whether they're defense lawyers or prosecuting lawyers or U.S. attorneys or district attorneys, they're all together drinking and having fun together. You understand? Because they are all part of the same body of people. They belong to the same association. They play golf together. They can be discussing your case in your absence. I don't know where you get my point. So the concern is very much felt. You hear sometimes some of these musicians, they talk about the fact that the label, like when they want to rinse an artist, the label will give them a lawyer that is supposed to act in their favor. The label will recommend, why don't you use this Schnozzelbaum and Weinstein attorney? And yeah, we recommend this lawyer. Use this lawyer. This lawyer, we work with him very well. We know him very well. And then you take that guy as your lawyer. And the guy says, this deal is good. And then he rinses you along with your record company. And you're like, wait, isn't this guy supposed to be my lawyer? So if you can apply that possibility, that paradigm, that scenario to criminal matters, then it is not impossible for a similar situation to be occurring. You got what I said, Don?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. This is some of the footage. Let's see what.
I just sent you another clip. It looks like you might be sending me the same. You might be. Go on. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's look at this clip. Let's see what's being said here.
Because the one I just sent you is the first response.
Yeah.
Body cam. But go on, let's watch this quickly.
Is this one in custody or is she not? She's in custody.
For right now, she's in custody.
Okay.
Because she's not a victim of a shooting, but she's in a car that did a bit of a shooting, right? So, yeah.
Sergeant.
Crazy. Did you hear that?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah,
Now, bro, you got roll the one I just sent you.
all right.
This case is absolutely.
This new body cam footage and audio just changed everything.
That is so funny.
Playing with people's lives.
Yeah, yeah.
Ridiculous. Nah, you need to, yeah, listen to this one.
So Tory Lanez is currently in jail because he shot Megan Thee Stallion in the foot in 2020. Now, new body cam footage came out and she said she didn't get shot and she stepped on glass. Also, there's new audio of a witness that came out explaining what he saw, and he said that he saw a girl shoot the gun, not a man. So check this out and listen very closely.
What's that? Do you think we can go to jail? I don't know. We're trying to figure it all out. As long as you guys cooperate with us and you guys tell us what happened, we'll go accordingly, okay? But if you guys are not telling us,
No, listen carefully.
then I really cannot go to jail. Okay. I cannot have that on my image. Okay. So how did that happen to you? Glass? Where? Where we coming from? I'm not from here, so okay. I think you shot.
Then the girl shoots. So the driver's door's open.
You're seeing the girl shoot?
Can I help you?
Bro, pause it a second, sorry. I'm just. Did you know what made me laugh when I saw this clip the first time?
Yeah.
I thought to myself, where the fuck did they find an English guy in LA to actually be a witness to the crime?
Yeah.
Please go on.
It's a tourist center, so.
I know.
Is it this house?
Yes, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
So you see the girl doing the shooting?
I see what appears to be the girl standing here and shooting into the fire. That's what it looked like to me. But it was dark and I'm above, so. But then the guy gets out again from the back.
This new body cam footage and audio.
You see the problem with that evidence, right? So there are two things done. You have an eyewitness who is reporting that he saw a female shooting a gun. But that same eyewitness qualifies what he sees by saying, oh, it was dark as well. So his evidence in itself is a bit watery. Do you know what I mean? Of course, by the time he takes the stand, he can say, oh, yes, I saw her. I saw a woman shoot. Can you describe the woman? As a prosecutor, I'll ask you, can you describe the woman? What was she wearing? What time of day was it? How dark was it? How bright? Was it a black woman? Was it a Chinese woman? I can destroy your evidence. I can make your evidence as watery as possible in order to prove my case. That's one thing. But you know the problem? The problem is that in America, they don't allow you to bring any evidence you want in your defense. What do I mean? If I want to bring evidence to my defense, the state, the people prosecuting me, can object to the admissibility of my evidence. Right? And say, we don't even want the court to consider what this guy is trying to bring in. We don't even want the court to look at it. In Nigeria and other jurisdictions, you can't do that. Because your right to fair hearing, your right to defense, right, is what's the word? Is like so unassailable. I'll give an example. In this Diddy's case, Diddy had a lot of evidence that he wanted to bring to the court. Videos of different things that were happening, video proof of payment, all these types of things. And the state was successfully able to object to the admissibility under some certain rules of evidence that deal with alleged victims of sexual crimes. And honestly, if Diddy had been able to bring in this evidence, honestly speaking, between you and I and everybody listening, his case would have been thrown out a long time ago. But out of like 20 things, only 2 came in. So, as I've said, maybe these things are qualified by the quality of your lawyer. Maybe also rules of evidence have a way of affecting your capacity to make a defense. But if that is the case, that the defense may have access to this footage, for example, and for whatever technical legal reason or rules of procedural reason, they can't bring it in. Or maybe at the time trial was to begin, this footage was not released to them, for example. So generally, a criminal case is going to be predicated upon the evidence that the prosecution has. Usually the witness statement, the police report, the investigation report, and some other things, right? So when that is presented to the court and to the jury, they will say, okay, fine, there's a reasonable case that can be tried. Then they release an indictment. So they now come and try you again on that evidence. You have the opportunity to process
based on evidence.
Yes, to examine the people who are giving with testimony and all those kinds of things. So the issue now, as I've been saying, is what you can now do. Like as I said with the GD case, Myron from Pressure, he covered it very, very well. How can you're bringing a case that is threatening my liberty, and I'm bringing documents, I'm bringing information, I'm bringing things to present to the court and say, look, for these reasons, I did not do these things. These things go to show that the participation of these other people is willing and there's no coercion, there's no fraud. This is all a willing participation of everybody. But the prosecution, the U.S. attorneys, were able to successfully object and say, no, this violates a rule of evidence. I've forgotten what it's called, Rule 413, something like that. It violates a rule of evidence that protects sexual victims, victims of sexual crime. So, just by default, the fact that it is in the case against a victim of a sexual crime, allegedly, he cannot bring certain types of evidence. How is that fair? And as I said, this footage, we don't know if the defense had access to this footage, right? At the time the trial was to begin. But the question is, how is that possible? When you have Freedom of Information Act requests, when you have your time and facilities to prepare your defense, you have, what's it called? The 4th State Amendment, and I can't remember the other constitutional amendments that give you the right to a fair legal defense, adequate time and facilities. So I find it very strange that we are getting this evidence in the court of public opinion, but this evidence was not available in the actual court of law at the time.
Yeah.
You understand? So those are the 2 or 3 main factors why this evidence would not have been considered. Or even maybe it's even possible that even if it was considered, they were, maybe the court misdirected the jury and told them not to consider it. Something like that. You know, it becomes very technical. A lot of the laws, a lot of the rules of procedure, they get very complicated. And I must apologize and tell the audience that I am more familiar with a jurisdiction that doesn't use a jury, right? And as I said, the jurisdictions I've worked in, there are no real serious grounds of objection to defensive evidence, right? So it's generally easier for the defense to make their case. The only question is, or the main question will be, is the document admissible? That is there a particular defect in the document that makes it inadmissible? And the most important thing is whether that evidence is relevant. That's actually the most important thing. Is the evidence, is the piece of evidence relevant to the case that is being made? And dare I say that this evidence is relevant?
Of course.
So if it's relevant, why is it not admissible? You understand what I'm saying? So we look at how, so that's how the court should look. I mean, that's what I'm used to. That's what the court look at. Is the document relevant? Is the evidence relevant? Yes. Is there any reason why I should not admit this into evidence? What is the reason?
Yeah.
What possible?
Because apart from our British guy that's trying to say something and say, well, it was dark.
Yeah.
Megan Thee Stallion herself said, I was not shot.
Thank you very much.
Do you know what I'm saying to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, she said glass. Yeah. You know what I mean? So she herself said it. So regardless of what the guy says, because that's just how I'm looking at it. Because of course you're right. And based off of, obviously, me and you've had a lot of conversation. I've asked you, I've picked your brain, a lot of things that's had to do with law, trying to get an understanding myself.
Yeah.
From someone who's a professional, obviously, like yourself.
Yeah.
When I heard the guy say it was dark, I knew exactly what that means in court. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Exactly.
I knew exactly what that means in court. Yeah, no one's gonna. That's you know what I mean. So that's not a strong case. That's not a strong testimony. Let me use the right terms, right?
Yeah.
So, but based off, so I'm discarding what the guy said.
Sure.
But I'm going really what she said herself. Meg Thee Stallion.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? She said, "Oh, my image and all that. I don't want this to get out." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What happened to you? I stepped on glass, whatever. It was glass. That's what she said, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Now, talking about because obviously one of your first responses was like, "Oh, because of what the guy said is dark." And like I said again, I understood what that means in court anyway, because nobody's going to take that. That's concrete evidence, testimony. But the fact that she said it, but again, going back to what you said and what we kind of obviously agreed upon earlier on, his lawyers, his defense team clearly didn't take the right measures for whatever reasons.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, come on, even I know as much as you need to speak to the officers that was on scene. Was there any, and we're talking about countries here where they wear body cams now, where the police officers wear body cams. So you want to know if there was any body cam footage from people that arrived there first. Those are the first questions you're asking. Do you know what I mean? So regardless of that part where the eyewitness is trying to tell you something, I'm just going based off of what this bitch is saying. You said, so how come you said it's glass? The next minute, the guy is in jail and you're all over the internet saying he shot me.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy to me.
So this is what Meg Thee Stallion said. So as I said, this is another witness. They got a doctor, a woman, a clinical psychologist to say that, oh, he has PTSD. Like, we covered that, right? Now Meg Thee Stallion comes and says that he not only shot me, he made a mockery of my trauma. He tried to position himself as a victim, set out to destroy my character and my soul. He lied to everyone that would listen and paid bloggers to disseminate false information about the case on social media. He released music videos and songs to damage my character and continue his crusade. Today, I beg this court to send a message to every victim of violence and fully hold the defendant accountable for his criminal conduct. This is a statement for all survivors, oh my God, that their lives matter and there is little tolerance for the torture that accompanies violence. Right?
She said he released the music video.
Where?
It's crazy she would say that. Every time Tory Lanez has come and addressed this, what I've seen anyway, the clips I've seen online prior to him going to jail, prior to him being incarcerated, he specifically said there's only so much he can say about it because this is an ongoing case.
Exactly.
So how would he say that and release a music video?
You know the funny thing? I wasn't really paying attention to this case. It was because honestly, you know my position now, and it has been for a very long time, is if a woman is going on social media or going anywhere to say that something happened to her, don't believe her. I always took that position. Women are very good at lying. So you know who was pushing back on me? Guess who? You should know now. You should know who was pushing back on me. Guess. Toro.
Who was?
My cousin.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
It was like, oh, that no, Tory Lanez was making fun of her and making music videos against her. I said, where? At least show me the music video that he was making fun of.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. What music video? Because I've kind of followed this case very well from what happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I remember Tory Lanez saying that obviously Rock Nation reached out to him prior to, you know what I mean? So Rock Nation wanted to give him a deal, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that was before the whole thing happened. Even after it happened, this Rock Nation reached out to him again. You know what I mean? So they might have taken that like, okay, you're pompous, you think you can do your tough guy, you can do all by yourself. No, there was clearly this is a setup. Come on. This is a setup. This is a setup, vibes. Yeah, I can hear where's that come from.
Okay. Yeah. So
yeah.
I think just to summarize, I think it's one, we have to look at the legal system that prevents defense from bringing things to help their case. Two, you have to look at the lawyers who have the responsibility to protect the evidence that is coming in to help their clients. And the skill, the responsibility, the acumen of your legal representation to circumvent those objections that the prosecution may raise. Because if Diddy, according to Myron, Diddy tendered like maybe 30 pieces of evidence, and the prosecution were able to successfully reject about, let's say, 80% of it.
Right.
So out of 30 pieces of evidence, he was only able to get in 6 or 5. You understand what I mean? But the question is, if you bring in those 30 pieces of evidence, does that not paint a different picture of the case? You understand?
I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I think that Diddy case, I think that's another episode on its own.
No, I know. But I'm just trying to tie in what legal.
Of course,
how the legal system works or doesn't, shall I say? Like the fact that
I was gonna say, or doesn't work. You mean to say
the fact that as a defense, like it is possible for a prosecutor to just object outright the ability for you to bring in evidence that the jury can look at and say, oh, wait, so what happened here? I'm seeing this police body cam footage, and it's saying that oh, she's not been shot. Like, did you? Okay. Also, you said she was shot in the leg. Okay. Did they bring doctor's evidence that there was a shooting in her leg? Did you bring
exactly confirms? Yes.
Medical photographs. You know what I mean? Like,
you shot someone, and all I'm seeing is stitches. You're stitching the. Oh, you can see that was a cut, like slashed from glass. Like there was no.
So you bring your own expert, and you bring your own expert.
A horrible looking feet.
You bring your own expert witness. Maybe you can bring in a police doctor or somebody in the federal system, and you say, look, have you treated gunshot wounds before? Or somebody in the army, maybe like a medical surgeon in the army, and you say, have you treated gunshot wounds before? What caliber of bullets have you treated? 9mm, 50 cal, 22mm, all those things, right? And you say, okay, you now take the guy through this photograph. You show him the photo that the prosecution presented, and you say, does this look consistent with the way a wound from a gun, from a Glock, for example? Is this the way a wound like this will be dressed? He will come out and tell you, no, it's not. Do you get my point? So my question is, did his defense do this homework? What I just said now is just off the top of my head. Nobody has paid me $3 million to do this.
Bro, even I know that.
Exactly. But that is what
my knowledge from watching these things. They would say, they'll put up these pictures and say, is this consistent with stabbing? Like, you know what I mean? Like anything. Or a machete attack. Right. Anything.
Right. In this type of cases.
So for you not to do that in this circumstance, bro, there's a lot of red flags here.
Right. So that's the thing. Your legal representation matters a lot. And you have to be sure who is representing you. You understand? As I've said, the fact that we're not certain whether all this information was included in the trial, but it seems like people are just getting this information now, and they're saying, "Wait, why is he in prison when we have all this information?" Well, it's highly likely that this information wasn't included in the trial, or even if it was included in the trial, it wasn't regarding. The court said, "Don't look at this. Don't consider these videos in your judgment," which could be a mistrial, whatever the case may be. So maybe he can go on appeal and say, "Look, the court wrongly refused to admit this evidence and ask the jury to consider it in their evaluation of the facts." So those are the main ways for him to come out. The conviction was for felony assault, right? Felony assault, 10 years minimum. So he must spend 10 years in prison before he can come out on parole. The sentence is actually 22 years, but he's guaranteed 10 behind bars. So
yeah,
I don't know.
That's crazy.
Let's just see what they're actually saying. Okay, 2 years after he shot. Of course, when they reported it, like, oh, yeah, he was convicted, or he shot her. Oh, TORY Lanez from Canada.
Yeah, you didn't know that.
I thought he was an American.
No. That's why Drake is leading the petition.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they've had their beef in the past anyway. Him and Drake. They made up. Yeah, he's Canadian. Okay. From Canada.
This case kind of goes over the entire thing. So they're hanging out together at the height of the pandemic. There is no way.
Yeah, of course.
Someone said, "Oh, this woman." I think she's like, "Oh, she didn't have a sexual relationship with TORY Lanez." It's like, come on, bro.
Are you crazy? Crazy?
You can't look like this and not.
Yes, in front of somebody, you're this comfortable around somebody you're not sexually involved with. Please.
You can't even be Megan Thee Stallion and not fuck TORY Lanez. Like, just look at you. Your life is sex. That must get you everything in life.
Of course. Come on, we know what she's about.
It's like
we know what she's about.
It's like her saying she didn't have sex with Lukaku. It's like, what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And while she was with this other guy she dated, I mean, was it after TORY Lanez? Before she dated him for God knows how long, and she was already sleeping with little baby. Sorry, the baby, the other one, not little baby, the baby.
What's the difference?
What's the difference? That's what you're gonna say.
Okay, gunshot wounds.
She's just, as we like to say in the UK, she's a slag.
Yeah.
Fucking joke.
So she said. So she just came out on social media and said that you're the one that shot me. Okay, so they said he did release a song, 2020, saying how the fuck you get on your foot, they don't hit no bones or tendon, right?
Exactly, but that's true though.
Yeah.
And you know what? That it can say that wasn't directed to. That's just a, you know, he didn't say no names. Obviously, we know who he's referring to. That was like, but we all know what a gunshot wound looks like on your foot.
Yeah.
Do you get me? She lied. She said the guy told her to come out and say dance, bitch, and started shooting at her feet. Are you mad? You just sat there and made this story up. That's crazy. Crazy.
The victim exited the vehicle and Peterson's accused of shooting her several times at her feet. Oh man, this is so funny.
They shot you at your feet several times and your feet's not falling off.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
So this is what she said. I was recently the victim of an act of violence by a man. After a party, I was shot twice as I walked away from him. Twice. Okay. So he makes another verse. And he talks about that.
Was that a verse or just a statement?
I know it was a verse. It's the song called Good News.
Okay.
So they increased his bail. And let's see. Wait, during testimony at the preliminary hearing, Los Angeles Police Department Detective Brian Stockner revealed more details of the alleged assault. Lanes allegedly yelled "dance, bitch" as a fire.
That's what I just said. I'm telling you. That's what she.
Oh my God! So this is the lie that she told the police that the police was repeating to the court. You understand? Let's see. Well, I think
I bet she's twerking in this video, in this clip. Of course, you can't see it properly, but yeah, she's getting ready to start twerking. That's all she fucking does. I'm standing, man.
4 years, bro. Crazy. Anyways, well, it's really a long. I like this article.
Bro, no, please. I want you to send me the link of this article because it looks like a good read.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's NPR.
Bro, people actually commit murder and not even get 24 years. Attempted murder and stuff.
Like
not get 24
the baby actually killed someone and they didn't even go anywhere.
No, yeah, and he got away, self-defense in the mall.
Oh,
but yeah, you know, so.
Self-defense?
Oh yeah, it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was. It was with his son in the mall. I remember that story pretty well. Yeah. But this is crazy. But we need to wrap up. I want to talk about these other two girls.
Oh yeah. Okay, so Caitlin Clark, right? The next one.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, so we can get rid of this.
And that's how we ended up not discussing this.
What?
That fight, the Eubank and Nigel Ben.
Who knows? We could.
Yeah.
But so what's your take? So